Hey there, and welcome. So whether you're just stepping onto campus for the first time or you're already deep into your studies, let's be real. Navigating the world of academic work can be a lot. Today, we're going to build your ultimate toolkit for success. We're breaking down everything from how to write a massive thesis to absolutely acing those final exams.
But before we jump in, if you could just take a quick moment to subscribe, hit that notification bell, give this video a like, and maybe drop a comment. It really helps the channel out. Your support means the world. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into it.
So here's the plan for today. Think of it as your academic journey. First, we're going to decode academic writing. Then, we'll walk through the whole process, from that first messy draft right up to the deadline. After that, we'll tackle the beast that is exam season. Then, we'll zoom out to explore the wider world of research. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with your essential academic toolkit.
All right, first things first. Section 1 is all about decoding academic writing. I mean, before you can even start writing, you've got to know exactly what it is you're supposed to be doing, right? You need to understand the task you're up against. And one of the first things that trips people up is all the jargon. You hear words like essay, dissertation, and thesis thrown around all the time. So what's actually the difference between them? Are they just different words for the same thing? Okay, so check this out. This table really lays out the massive range of academic writing. You know, you might start off your first year with a short composition, maybe a few hundred words. But as you go on, the stakes get a whole lot higher. You start dealing with essays, assignments, and bigger projects. But the really crucial difference is at the very top end. A dissertation is a big deal, a long piece of research, maybe 10,000 words or so. But a thesis? Oh, a thesis is the final boss. We're talking a huge, original piece of research that could be up to 100,000 words for a PhD. See, it's not just about being longer, it's about adding something brand new to your field of study. Let's move on to Section 2. Because look, knowing the type of work you have to do is one thing, but how do you actually get it done? This part is all about that journey, from staring at a terrifyingly blank page to finally hitting that submit button.
You can really break this whole process down into 4 key steps. Step 1, starting with a mind map, is so important. Why? Because our brains don't think in straight lines and bullet points, they think in webs and connections. A mind map lets you get all your ideas out visually and see how they link together before you even think about structure. From there, you can move on to a first draft, and the key here is just write. Don't worry about it being perfect, just get the ideas down on paper. The polishing comes later.
Now this brings us to something that is absolutely critical: plagiarism. This is basically using someone else's work, their ideas, their words, and passing it off as your own. In the academic world, this is a huge no-no. It's an extremely serious offense. It's not just about being dishonest. It completely undermines the whole point of learning. And that's why universities are so strict about it, often making you sign a form to declare that your work is 100% your own. Okay, so you've written your masterpiece and you've been super careful to acknowledge all your sources. Now you have to hit that deadline. Once your work is submitted, it gets assessed, which is just another word for graded. But here's the thing, the process doesn't end there. Honestly, the most valuable part of this whole cycle is the feedback you get back. It's not just about the grade, it's about understanding what you did well and, more importantly, how you can improve next time. It's your roadmap for success. All right, let's switch gears. You've handed in all your papers, you're feeling pretty good, and then you look at the calendar and see it looming. Section 3 is all about mastering exam season.
When it comes to studying, most of us fall into one of 2 camps. First, there's cramming. You know the drill, that frantic, caffeine-fueled all-night session right before the exam. And hey, it might get enough information in your short-term memory to pass, but a week later, it's all gone. The much better alternative is intensive study. This is where you spend focused, dedicated time over a much longer period. This is how you build real, lasting knowledge, because you're giving your brain the time it needs to actually form strong connections with the material.
Need a little help making those facts stick during your intensive study sessions? That's where mnemonics come in handy. They're basically just clever little memory tricks. A classic one you probably learned as a kid for English spelling is the rule I before E except after C.
These things can be absolute lifesavers for remembering long lists, important dates, or complex formulas. So beyond using tricks like mnemonics, your revision strategy should definitely include practicing with past papers. Now, you will have to memorize some things, learn them by heart, but be really careful about relying only on rote learning. See, just repeating information over and over again isn't the same as understanding it. The real goal isn't just to spit back facts on an exam. It's to know your subject so well, to know it inside out, that you can actually apply the concepts to solve new problems. That's the difference between just passing and truly mastering a subject.
So far, we've been really focused on our own work, our own assignments, our own exams. Now for Section 4, let's zoom out and take a look at the bigger picture, the world of research. This is really the engine that powers all of academia. Ever wonder what your professors and lecturers do when they're not teaching? Well, a huge part of their job is to carry out research. And how do they share their groundbreaking findings with the world? They publish papers or articles in these really specialized academic journals. You can think of them as magazines for scholars, packed with the absolute latest, most cutting-edge knowledge in any field you can imagine. So, how do you get your hands on all this incredible knowledge? Well, your university library is your secret weapon. It gives you online access to thousands, sometimes millions, of academic journal articles. And if for some reason they don't have what you're looking for, the interlibrary loan system can probably track it down for you from another university. And hey, don't forget about open educational resources. There's an amazing growing movement of free, high-quality learning materials out there for everyone. So this timeline here really shows the whole journey. You start your course, you put in the hours studying, and eventually you have to face your finals, those last big exams. Look, academic study is demanding, there's no doubt about it. And it's true, some students do drop out along the way. But for those who stick with it, who use all these tools and strategies we're talking about, the goal is to push through those finals and come out the other side as a well-qualified, knowledgeable professional.
Whew, we have covered a lot of ground. So for our last section, let's pull all of these ideas together and assemble your personal academic toolkit. These are the core concepts you absolutely need to have on hand to succeed. Okay, rapid-fire recap. This is your toolkit. For your writing, remember to always acknowledge your sources, which is how you build on the work of others ethically. And of course, never ever commit plagiarism. Always aim for that thesis level of original thought. For your study habits, choose deep, intensive study over last-minute cramming whenever you possibly can. And for overall success, use resources like academic journals to go deeper and prepare yourself properly for those finals.
So, to wrap things up, I want to leave you with a question. Thinking about everything we've just talked about, from the stress of writing to the pressure of exams, what do you personally find to be the most challenging part of academic work? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so let us know in the comments below.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like, and leave a comment to support the channel.